Daniel Harper stood in the corner of the Grand Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime Station, watching aliens from 40 different worlds laugh at his people. The sound echoed off the crystalline walls, each laugh like a knife in his chest. He wore his dress uniform with pride, but it didn't matter. To these beings, Earth's military was a joke. Admiral Korth, the Vrexian military commander, stood at the center platform. His reptilian scales glittered under the station's artificial lights as he gestured toward the holographic display floating above the assembled delegates. The display showed Earth's largest warship, the ESS Victory, rotating slowly in 3 dimensions. "This is what humans call a flagship," Korth said, his voice dripping with amusement. The translator made his words sound almost gentle, but Daniel could hear the mockery underneath. 800 meters long. How quaint. The hologram shifted. Now it showed a Vrexian patrol boat alongside the Victory. The alien vessel was twice as large. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he kept his face neutral. He had practiced this expression for years. "Our patrol boats," Korth continued, "handle pirates and smugglers. Your flagship would struggle against such threats, I think." He turned toward the human delegation section. "Perhaps Earth should focus on trade. Support roles. Leave military matters to civilizations with real warships." Ambassador Richard Stone sat in the front row of the human section. His face remained calm, diplomatic. Daniel admired that about Stone. The ambassador never let them see him hurt. But Daniel knew. Everyone knew. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council 15 years ago, and in all that time they had earned nothing but contempt. The presentation continued. Korth showed images of real warships. Vrexian battlecruisers stretched 3 kilometers from bow to stern. The Krill Dominion's dreadnoughts were even larger, their insectoid designs looking like floating cities. Compared to these monsters, Earth's entire fleet looked like children's toys. 200 ships, one of the Krill delegates chittered, their mandibles clicking. "Earth has 200 ships total. The Dominion loses more than that in training exercises." More laughter. Daniel felt his engineer, Lisa Bennett, stand beside him. She placed a hand on his arm. A warning. He realized his fists were clenched. "They'll regret this," Lisa whispered. "One day, will they?" Daniel asked quietly. "We've been part of this council for 15 years, Lisa. We were admitted out of pity. Everyone knows it. We're the charity case of the galaxy." "Admiral Cole has a plan," Lisa said. Daniel glanced at her. "What kind of plan?" Lisa smiled slightly. "The kind that makes people stop laughing." Before Daniel could ask more, the presentation ended. The delegates began filtering out, moving toward the reception area. Daniel watched Ambassador Stone navigate through the crowd. Alien delegates either ignored him or offered condescending smiles. One Thessian diplomat patted Stone's shoulder like he was a child. "Captain Harper." Daniel turned. Jake Morrison, his weapons officer, approached with urgent steps. The young lieutenant's face was tight with barely controlled anger. "Sir, you need to see this," Jake said, handing over a data tablet. Daniel read the message displayed on the screen. His blood ran cold. The Zephron Collective had issued an ultimatum. 3 human colony worlds, 30 days to evacuate. After that, the Zephrons would take them by force. The message was polite, almost apologetic. It explained that these worlds were in strategic locations, that humanity couldn't possibly defend them, that it would be better for everyone if humans simply left. "They're not even pretending to negotiate," Jake said. "They know we can't stop them." Daniel handed back the tablet. "Get Ambassador Stone, now." 20 minutes later, Daniel sat in a private conference room with Stone and Lisa. The ambassador looked tired. More tired than Daniel had ever seen him. "Newton Colony," Stone said quietly. "Harrison's world, New Melbourne. 80,000 people total." He looked up. "The council won't help. I already checked. They say it's a bilateral dispute, that we should negotiate. Negotiate." Daniel's voice rose. "With what?" "They know we can't fight them. The Zephron fleet could wipe out our entire navy." "Yes," Stone agreed. "They could." The room fell silent. Daniel thought about the people on those colonies. Families, children, people who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. Now they would lose everything because humanity was too weak to protect them. There might be another option. Lisa said carefully. Both men looked at her. "Admiral Cole sent me a message this morning," Lisa continued. "Before the summit. She wants Captain Harper to return to Earth immediately. Something about a classified briefing. Daniel frowned. The Admiral knows I'm supposed to stay here for the trade negotiations. She said the trade negotiations don't matter anymore, Lisa said. Her exact words were that everything is about to change. Stone leaned forward. Did she say anything else? Lisa hesitated. She said to tell Captain Harper that humanity is done being laughed at. That we've been preparing for this moment for a very long time. Daniel felt something stir in his chest. Hope? No, that was dangerous. Hope had died years ago, watching alien species treat humanity like primitive children. When does she want me back? Daniel asked. Now, Lisa said. A transport is waiting. Daniel stood. Ambassador, with your permission. Stone nodded slowly. Go, and Daniel. Whatever Cole is planning, I hope it's enough. Because if we lose those colonies, if we back down from the Zephrons, we'll never be taken seriously. We'll be the galaxy's joke forever. The flight back to Earth took 3 days. Daniel spent most of that time in his quarters thinking. Lisa and Jake joined him for meals, but conversation was sparse. They were all wondering the same thing. What could Admiral Cole possibly have that would make a difference? Earth grew larger in the viewport as they approached. The blue and green planet looked peaceful from orbit. Daniel could see the orbital defense platforms scattered around the planet. More jokes. Those platforms couldn't stop a determined attack from any major power. The transport received clearance to dock at the Luna shipyards. Daniel frowned. Luna? That was the main construction facility, but it wasn't where Admiral Cole usually worked. She operated from Earth Command in Geneva. Captain, the pilot called back. We're being redirected. They want us to dock at Luna Secondary. Luna Secondary? Lisa looked confused. That's the old facility. They decommissioned it years ago. Apparently not, the pilot said. We're cleared for Private Berth 7. Maximum security clearance required. Daniel exchanged glances with Lisa. Maximum security? At a decommissioned facility? They docked without incident. The berth was empty except for a single officer waiting by the airlock. General Frank Murphy, Director of Advanced Weapons Development. Daniel had met him once years ago. Murphy was old, gruff, and notoriously secretive. Captain Harper, Murphy said, his voice rough. Commander Bennett. Lieutenant Morrison, follow me. Leave all recording devices here. What you're about to see is classified at the highest level. They followed Murphy through a series of corridors. Each checkpoint required biometric scans. Each door was thicker than the last. Daniel counted 6 security stations before Murphy finally stopped at a massive blast door. 50 years, Murphy said, placing his hand on the scanner. We've been working on this for 50 years. Since before first contact. Since before we knew there was anyone else out there. The blast door began to open, revealing darkness beyond. Admiral Cole wanted you to see it first. You're going to be its commander. Commander of what? Daniel asked. Murphy smiled. It was not a kind smile. The reason we let them laugh at us. The reason we built small ships and pretended to be weak. The reason the Zephrons made the biggest mistake of their lives. The lights came on. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. Lisa gasped. Jake actually took a step backward. The hangar stretched before them, so vast that the far wall was barely visible. And filling that space, dominating everything, was a ship. But calling it a ship was like calling a mountain a rock. It was enormous. Impossibly enormous. Daniel's mind struggled to process the scale. The Victory, his flagship, could have fit in one of this monster's launch bays. Multiple times, 15 kilometers long, Murphy said quietly. 5 times larger than the biggest alien warship in the galaxy. Quantum-paired reactors providing more power than some stars. Weapons that can punch through any shield ever built. Hull armor made from metamaterials that laugh at energy weapons. Daniel walked forward in a daze. The ship's hull gleamed under the hangar lights. He could see weapon ports. Hundreds of them. Thousands. The ship looked like it had been designed by someone who wanted to kill entire fleets. We call it the Titan, Murphy said. And, Captain Harper, you're going to take it to Newton Colony. You're going to meet the Zephron fleet. And you're going to show the galaxy that humanity is done being laughed at. Daniel turned to face Murphy. How many of these do we have? Murphy's smile grew wider. This one is ready. 4 more are nearly complete. We've been building them in secret for decades, Captain. While the galaxy laughed, we worked. While they mocked our small fleet, we prepared. And now? He gestured at the massive warship. Now they'll learn what happens when you underestimate humanity. Daniel looked up at the Titan. at the weapon that would change everything. The Zephrons had given humanity 30 days to evacuate. They had 28 days. Daniel spent 3 days just learning how to walk through the Titan. The ship was so massive that it had internal transport systems. Small rail cars that moved crew members from section to section. Walking from bow to stern would take hours. Dr. Helen Cross met him on the bridge. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and graying hair tied back in a practical bun. She had spent the last 30 years of her life working on the Titan project. The bridge is at the center of the ship, she explained, gesturing around the massive command center, protected by 500 meters of armor in every direction. Even if the hull is breached, even if we lose half the ship, the bridge stays operational. Daniel looked at the displays surrounding the command chair. Each screen showed different sections of the ship: engineering, weapons, shields, life support. There were so many systems that he felt overwhelmed. "How long did you say this project has been running?" he asked. 50 years, Helen replied. "The initial design started in 2237, before first contact. Before we knew we weren't alone?" She smiled slightly. "We were preparing for the worst. When we finally met the Vrexians in 2272, we realized something important. We were already behind. Their technology was centuries ahead of ours. Their ships made ours look like toys. So we kept building," Daniel said. "We kept building," Helen confirmed. "But we did something else too. We lied. We built small ships on purpose. We made our fleet look weak. We joined the Galactic Council and let them laugh at us. Every insult, every joke, every dismissive comment just gave us more time. More time to finish the Titans." Lisa Bennett appeared beside them. She had been in the engineering section for the past 2 hours, and her eyes were bright with excitement. "Captain, you need to see the reactor room," she said. "The quantum-paired reactors are incredible. They generate more power than should be physically possible. The energy output is off the scale." "How much power?" Daniel asked. Helen answered. "Enough to power a small city. Enough to fire every weapon system simultaneously and still have energy left over. The shields alone consume more power than the entire Victory generates." Daniel walked to the weapon station. The display showed the Titan's arsenal. Relativistic mass drivers that could accelerate projectiles to 90% of light speed. Plasma lance arrays hot enough to melt through any known material. Graviton disruptors that could tear apart ships at the molecular level. "This isn't a warship," he said quietly. "This is a weapon of mass destruction." "Yes," Helen agreed. "That's exactly what it is. We didn't design the Titan to fight fairly, Captain. We designed it to win. Overwhelmingly, decisively, so that nobody would ever threaten humanity again." Over the next week, Daniel assembled his crew. Admiral Patricia Cole gave him complete authority to handpick his officers. He chose carefully. Jake Morrison became his tactical officer. Lisa Bennett took charge of engineering. Maya Rodriguez, the best pilot in the fleet, became his helm officer. 5,000 crew members came aboard the Titan. They arrived in small groups, sworn to secrecy. Each one had been carefully vetted. Each one had proven their loyalty and skill. The training began immediately. Simulations ran 20 hours a day. The crew practiced battle scenarios against theoretical alien fleets. Vrexian battle groups, Creel armadas, Zephron strike forces. The Titan won every simulation. It wasn't even close. "Run it again," Daniel ordered after the 10th scenario. "Make it harder. Give them twice as many ships." Jake modified the simulation. This time, the Titan faced 100 enemy warships. Capital ships, dreadnoughts, everything the galaxy could throw at them. The battle lasted 12 minutes. The Titan destroyed or disabled all 100 ships without taking critical damage. "It's not fair," Maya said from the helm. "We're too powerful. They don't have anything that can hurt us." "That's the point," Daniel replied. "For 15 years, the galaxy treated us like children. They laughed at our ships. They dismissed our military. Now we show them what we're really capable of." On the 15th day, Ambassador Stone visited the Titan. Daniel met him in the observation deck. The ambassador stood at the window, looking out at the lunar surface below. "The Galactic Council is watching Newton Colony," Stone said without turning around. "News services from 40 worlds have drones in the system. They're all waiting to see humanity run away with our tails between our legs." "Let them watch," Daniel said. Stone finally turned. He looked tired. "Daniel, I need to know. Is this ship really enough? The Zephron fleet has 40 warships. Each one is larger than anything we've ever built. Well, anything except this." He gestured around them. "Can you win?" Yes, Daniel said simply. How can you be sure? Because the Zephrons think they're fighting the old humanity. The weak humanity. The humanity that begged for scraps at the council table. Daniel walked to the window. They don't know what's coming. They can't imagine it. And by the time they realize their mistake, it'll be too late. Stone was quiet for a moment. I argued against this, you know. Against revealing the Titan. I thought it would damage our diplomatic relations, that it would make us look deceptive. And now? Daniel asked. Now I realize that Admiral Cole was right. Diplomacy only works when both sides respect each other. The galaxy doesn't respect us. They pity us. Pity isn't respect. It's just contempt with better manners. On the 20th day, Admiral Cole herself came aboard. She was a tall woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. She had commanded Earth's forces for 10 years, enduring the mockery and insults with quiet dignity. Daniel met her in his ready room. The ship is ready, he reported. The crew is trained. We can launch whenever you give the order. Cole nodded slowly. The Zephron ultimatum expires in 8 days. Their fleet is already in position around Newton Colony, 40 warships. They're confident. Arrogant even. Good, Daniel said. Arrogance makes people careless. There's something you need to understand, Cole said. She leaned forward, her expression serious. When you reveal this ship, everything changes. Not just for Earth, for the entire galaxy. The balance of power shifts. Old alliances crumble. New threats emerge. I understand, Daniel said. Do you? Cole asked. Once the galaxy knows we have this kind of power, they'll fear us. Fear makes people do desperate things. We need to win this battle perfectly, decisively, so that nobody questions our strength ever again. Daniel met her gaze. We'll win. I promise you that, Cole stood. Launch in 72 hours. Arrive at Newton Colony just as the ultimatum expires. Let the Zephrons think they've won. Let them prepare to attack. Then show them what humanity has been building while they laughed at us. The next 3 days passed in a blur of final preparations. The Titan systems were checked and rechecked. Weapons were calibrated. Shields were tested. Every crew member knew their role perfectly. Daniel stood on the bridge as the countdown approached 0. His senior staff surrounded him. Lisa at engineering. Jake at tactical. Maya at the helm. All of them were ready. Captain, Maya said. We're receiving clearance from Luna Control. All moorings released. We're free to maneuver. Daniel took a deep breath. Outside the viewports, he could see Earth. The blue planet hung in space, peaceful and beautiful. Billions of humans lived on that world, unaware that their fate was about to change. All stations report ready, Jake said. Weapons armed. Shields at full power. All systems green. Engineering is optimal, Lisa added. Reactors stable. We have full power available. Daniel settled into the command chair. It felt right. Like he was meant to be here. Like everything in his life had led to this moment. Set course for Newton Colony, he ordered. Maximum speed. Let's show the Zephrons what happens when they threaten humanity. Maya's hands flew across her controls. Course plotted. Quantum drive spinning up. Transition to faster than light in 30 seconds. The ship hummed. Deep in its core, the quantum-paired reactors fed massive amounts of energy into the drive system. Space itself began to bend around the Titan's hull. 10 seconds. Maya counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, transition. The stars stretched. Reality twisted, and the Titan vanished from the lunar orbit, racing through quantum space toward Newton Colony, toward destiny, toward the moment when the galaxy would stop laughing. Governor Carl Morris stood on the balcony of Newton Colony's administration building, watching the Zephron warships orbit his world. 40 massive vessels, each one larger than any human ship he had ever seen. Their hulls gleamed in the light of Newton's sun, beautiful and terrible. Governor, his aide said softly, Earth Command is on the line. They want to know if you're ready to broadcast the evacuation order. Carl looked at his watch. 6 hours until the ultimatum expired. 6 hours until the Zephrons would begin their attack. He thought about the 80,000 people living on Newton Colony. Families, children, people who trusted him to keep them safe. Tell Earth Command no, he said. We're not evacuating. We're not running. The aide's eyes widened. But Governor, the fleet, we can't fight them. If we don't evacuate, people will die. Maybe, Carl said. Or maybe Earth has a surprise for the Zephrons. Admiral Cole told me to trust her. So that's what I'm doing. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Vorix watched Newton Colony through the viewscreen. The human settlement looked peaceful. Small cities dotted the continents. Farms stretched across fertile valleys. It was a nice planet. The Zephron Collective would put it to good use, status report, Vorix ordered. All ships in position, his tactical officer replied. Weapons charged. Shields active. No sign of human military forces in the system. Vorix nodded. As expected, Earth's pathetic fleet couldn't challenge 40 Zephron warships. The humans would evacuate at the last moment, taking whatever they could carry and abandoning the rest. It was sad, really, but this was how the galaxy worked. The strong took what they wanted. The weak gave it up. 5 hours until deadline, his communications officer announced. Vorix settled into his command chair. It would be a long wait, but he could be patient. Across the galaxy, hundreds of news drones watched the Newton system. Representatives from 40 civilizations monitored their feeds. This was entertainment. This was confirmation of what everyone already knew. Humanity was weak. Humanity would run. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Stone sat in his office watching the same feeds. His hands were clenched so tightly that his knuckles had turned white. "She's cutting it close," he muttered. His assistant stood nearby. "Sir, perhaps we should prepare a statement for when the evacuation begins." "There won't be an evacuation," Stone said, "but sir, the deadline is in 4 hours. If they don't evacuate soon, there won't be time." Stone smiled grimly. "Trust me, in 4 hours everything changes." The deadline approached. 3 hours. 2 hours. 1 hour. Governor Morris broadcast a message to the Zephron fleet. His face appeared on every viewscreen and every ship. "This is Governor Carl Morris of Newton Colony. We reject your ultimatum. This world is ours. We will not abandon it. If you attack, you will face the consequences." On the Zephron flagship, Admiral Vorix laughed. "Consequences? What consequences? Humans have no fleet here. No defenses. Nothing but empty threats." The deadline expired. "All ships," Vorix commanded. "Power weapons. Target the colony's major cities. Prepare to fire." The Zephron warships began charging their main batteries. Energy signatures spiked across the fleet. News drones captured every moment, and then space tore open. At the edge of the Newton system, a quantum tunnel formed. Reality twisted, light bent, and something massive began to emerge. "What is that?" Vorix's tactical officer stared at his sensors. "Sir, I'm reading something at the system's edge. It's enormous. My sensors say it's the size of a small moon." "That's impossible," Vorix said. "It must be a sensor error. Recalibrate." "No error, sir. Whatever it is, it's real. And it's moving toward us. Fast." The Titan completed its transition from quantum space. 15 kilometers of warship materialized in normal space, its hull gleaming under Newton's sun. Every sensor in the system locked onto it simultaneously. Every military computer tried to classify it and failed. It was too big, too powerful, too impossible. On the Titan's bridge, Daniel Harper sat in his command chair, perfectly calm. "Open a channel to the Zephron fleet," he ordered. "All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this." "Channel open, sir," the communications officer reported. Daniel's voice echoed across the system. Every ship, every news drone, every monitoring station heard him. "This is Captain Daniel Harper of the United Human Starship Titan. You are in violation of human territory. Your presence here is an act of war. You have one chance to withdraw. Leave now or face the consequences." On the Zephron flagship, Admiral Vorix stared at the viewscreen in disbelief. The human ship filled the entire display. It was impossible. Humans didn't have ships like this. They couldn't have ships like this. Where did it come from? He demanded. "Unknown, sir. It appeared from quantum space." "We had no warning." Vorix straightened in his chair. "It's a bluff. One ship against 40. The humans are desperate." He opened a channel. "Human vessel, your threat is meaningless. One ship cannot defeat this fleet. Stand down or be destroyed. You were warned," Daniel replied. All ships opened fire. The Zephron fleet unleashed everything. 40 warships fired simultaneously. Energy beams, missiles, kinetic rounds, everything they had poured into the Titan's shields. The Titan's shields flared bright blue. Energy cascaded across the protective barrier. Sensors went crazy trying to measure the power being absorbed. And when the weapons fire stopped, the Titan's shields hadn't even dropped below 90%. "Impossible," Vorix whispered. On the Titan's bridge, Daniel remained perfectly calm. Jake, demonstrate our capabilities, one shot. Pick your target. Jake Morrison grinned. Yes, sir. Firing relativistic mass driver. Target, the 3 ships in the front formation. The mass driver spun up. Deep in the Titan's hull, a projectile accelerated through magnetic rails. Faster, faster. 90% of light speed. The round launched. It happened too fast for the eye to follow. One moment, 3 Zephron battleships floated in formation. The next moment, they were gone. Vaporized. The kinetic energy released was equivalent to a small nuclear weapon. Debris scattered across space, glowing white-hot. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council emergency session erupted into chaos. Representatives shouted questions, demanded explanations. The news feed showed the same footage over and over. 3 ships, gone. Just gone. Ambassador Stone sat calmly in his seat. When the noise finally died down, Chancellor Vex turned to him. Ambassador Stone, explain. Where did humanity acquire such a weapon? Stone smiled. We built it ourselves, Chancellor. While you laughed at our small fleet, we were preparing. While you dismissed us as weak, we were building. The Titan is ours. Human technology, human engineering, human determination. Admiral Korth of the Vrexian stood. This is unacceptable. Humanity has been hiding its true capabilities. This is deception. This is strategic patience, Stone interrupted. You would have done the same. You would have hidden your strength until the right moment. Don't pretend otherwise. In the Newton system, Admiral Vorix faced a terrible choice. His fleet had just witnessed impossible power. 3 ships destroyed in an instant. But he still had 37 ships. Surely that was enough. All ships, he ordered, his voice shaking. Concentrate fire on the human vessel. Everything we have now. The remaining Zephron fleet focused their attack. Every weapon, every missile, every ounce of power they could generate poured into the Titan. For 3 minutes they maintained the barrage. The Titan disappeared behind a wall of explosions and energy discharges. On the bridge, warning lights flashed. Shields at 60%, Lisa reported. Hull integrity perfect. All systems nominal. Daniel watched the tactical display. The Zephron ships were exhausting their ammunition, draining their power reserves. Soon they would have nothing left. Jake, he said quietly. End this. With pleasure, sir. The Titan's full arsenal activated. Plasma lances cut through space, each beam hot enough to melt through shields and hull armor like they were paper. Graviton disruptors tore ships apart at the molecular level. Mass drivers fired again and again, each shot destroying another target. The Zephron fleet died. Ship after ship exploded or broke apart. Some tried to run. The Titan was faster. Some tried to surrender too late. In 10 minutes, the battle was over. 40 Zephron warships had entered the Newton system. None survived. Daniel stood on the bridge watching debris drift through space. He felt no joy, no satisfaction, only grim determination. Open a channel to Newton Colony, he ordered. Governor Morris appeared on the screen. The man's eyes were wide with shock. Governor, Daniel said, the threat is eliminated. Newton Colony is safe. No evacuation will be necessary. Morris just stared. Finally, he found his voice. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Daniel's console chimed. A priority message from Admiral Cole. Well done, Captain. Now comes the hard part. The galaxy wants answers and they're terrified. Come home. We need to talk about what happens next. Daniel looked at his crew. They had done the impossible. They had won a battle that should have been unwinnable. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was no longer weak, but Admiral Cole was right. This was just the beginning. The galaxy had laughed at humanity for 15 years. Now they would fear humanity instead. Fear was better than laughter, but it brought its own dangers. Set course for Earth, Daniel ordered. Best speed. Let's see what the galaxy does now that they know the truth. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going for 6 hours. Representatives from 40 civilizations sat in their designated sections, all talking at once. The chamber echoed with demands, accusations, and fear. Ambassador Stone stood at the human delegation's podium, waiting patiently for order to be restored. Chancellor Vex, the Thessian diplomat who led the council, finally activated the silence field. The noise cut off instantly. Ambassador Stone, Vex said, his voice tight with controlled emotion. You will answer our questions now. Stone nodded calmly. I will answer what I can, Chancellor. How long has humanity possessed this weapon? Vex asked. The Titan-class project began 50 years ago, Stone replied. Long before we made first contact with your civilizations. Admiral Korth of the Vrexians stood. You lied to us. You pretended to be weak. You built these small ships, these pathetic vessels, while hiding your true military capacity. This is deception of the highest order. We did what any sensible civilization would do, Stone said. We assessed the threats around us and prepared accordingly. When we joined the Galactic Council, we quickly learned that strength determines respect. We had no strength then, so we built it in secret. How many of these ships do you have? Asked a Krill representative, their mandibles clicking nervously. Stone paused. This was the moment. The moment when everything changed. The Titan is the first operational vessel. 4 more are nearing completion. Chaos erupted. Even with the silence field, representatives jumped to their feet. Some shouted. Some demanded sanctions. Some simply looked terrified. 5 of these weapons? Korth's voice cut through the noise. This is unacceptable. The Council must act. We must place limitations on human military expansion. We must ensure that humanity does not threaten galactic peace. Threaten peace? Stone's voice turned cold. For 15 years, humanity has been threatened, mocked, dismissed. The Zephyrons just tried to take our colonies by force. Where was the Council then? Where was your concern for peace when they issued their ultimatum? Chancellor Vex raised his hands. Ambassador Stone makes a valid point. The Council did not intervene in the Zephyron situation. Perhaps if we had, this demonstration of force would not have been necessary. The problem is not what humanity did, another representative said. This was from the Meridian Confederation, a collection of smaller worlds. The problem is what they might do. With 5 ships of this power, humanity could dominate the entire galaxy. We have no interest in domination, Stone said firmly. We want what we've always wanted, respect, fair treatment, the right to exist without being threatened or mocked. The session continued for hours. Stone answered questions, deflected accusations, and stood firm. By the time it ended, the Council had split into 3 clear factions. The accommodationists, led by Chancellor Vex, argued that humanity should be treated as an equal power, that the age of dismissing Earth was over. The restrictionists, led by Admiral Korth, demanded limits on human expansion. They wanted treaties, controls, anything to contain this new threat. The opportunists said nothing publicly. But Stone's message console filled with private communications. Smaller civilizations wanted alliances. They wanted protection. They saw humanity as a counterbalance to the old powers. On Earth, Admiral Patricia Cole sat in her office at Earth Command, reviewing intelligence reports. The news was troubling. Tell me again, she said to the intelligence officer standing before her desk. Encrypted communications between Vrexian, Krill, and 3 other major powers, the officer repeated. Very high level. Military channels. We can't decode the messages, but the traffic patterns suggest coordination. A coalition, Cole said quietly. Most likely, ma'am. Our analysts believe they're planning something. Cole dismissed the officer and activated her secure terminal. She pulled up strategic assessments of the potential coalition members. Together, they could field perhaps 200 warships, more than enough to overwhelm the single Titan currently operational. Her terminal chimed, a priority message from Jake Morrison, who had stayed with the Titan during its patrol of human space. She opened it immediately. Admiral, we've detected something. Encrypted military transmissions using Vrexian protocols. We tracked them to a relay station near human space. I ran the traffic analysis. They're coordinating fleet movements. A lot of ships, Admiral. I think they're planning to hit us. Cole closed her eyes. She had hoped for more time. Hoped that the demonstration at Newton Colony would be enough to make potential enemies think twice. But fear made people desperate. And desperate people did foolish things. She opened a secure channel to Luna shipyards. Dr. Helen Cross appeared on the screen looking tired but alert. Helen, I need an honest assessment. The 4 Titan-class ships under construction. How close are they to operational status? Helen frowned. The Colossus is at 95%. The Leviathan at 90%. The Behemoth and Sovereign are both around 85%. But Admiral, they're not ready for combat. We need at least another month for full systems integration and testing. We might not have a month, Cole said. I need them ready in 2 weeks. All of them? 2 weeks? Helen's eyes widened. That's impossible. We'd have to skip critical safety checks. Some systems won't be fully optimized. Can they fly? Can they fight? Yes, but then make it happen. I'll authorize whatever resources you need. Work around the clock if necessary. We need those ships operational before the Coalition attacks. Helen nodded slowly. Understood, Admiral. We'll do it. Cole's next call was to Captain Daniel Harper, currently on patrol near the Jupiter orbital stations. Captain, return to Luna immediately. We have a situation. Daniel appeared on screen, his expression serious. The Coalition? You heard? Jake sent me his analysis. When are they coming? Our best estimate is 15 days. They're gathering forces, probably planning to hit Luna shipyards directly. They know that's where the other Titans are being built. If they can destroy them before completion, humanity's advantage disappears. Daniel was quiet for a moment. You're rushing the other ships to completion. Yes, we'll have all 5 operational before they arrive. And Captain, I'm giving you fleet command. You'll coordinate all 5 ships. We're not going to meet them in space. We're going to wait here at Luna, let them come to us. A trap, Daniel said, exactly. They think we only have 1 operational Titan. They're counting on overwhelming it with numbers. Instead, they'll find 5. It will be the last mistake they ever make. The next 2 weeks were the most intense of Daniel's life. The Titan returned to Luna, where the other 4 massive ships were being completed at an impossible pace. Crews worked 20-hour shifts. Resources flooded into the shipyards from all over Earth. The entire planet mobilized. Daniel met the other captains. Greg Foster would command the Colossus. Nicole Turner would take the Behemoth. Sam Jackson the Sovereign, and Lisa Bennett, promoted to captain, would command the Leviathan. They trained together, running joint simulations. 5 Titan-class ships moving in coordination was like conducting a symphony of destruction. Each ship had specialized systems. The Colossus focused on long-range bombardment, the Leviathan on close combat, the Behemoth on siege operations, the Sovereign on electronic warfare, and the Titan remained the balanced command vessel. On the 13th day, Admiral Cole called Daniel to her office. They're coming, she said without preamble. 200 ships, Phyrexian battlecruisers, Krill dreadnoughts, and support vessels from 3 other powers. They'll arrive at Luna in 2 days. Daniel nodded. We'll be ready. This is different from Newton Colony, Cole said. The Zephrons underestimated us because they didn't know better. This coalition knows what the Titan can do. They're coming anyway. They're betting that 200 ships can overwhelm 5. Can they? Daniel asked. Cole smiled grimly. That's what we're about to find out. But Daniel, understand this. If we win, if we destroy this coalition fleet, there will be no going back. The galaxy will fear us, truly fear us. Some civilizations will seek our protection. Others will plot our destruction. Everything changes. Better than being laughed at, Daniel said. Yes, Cole agreed. Much better. Go, Captain. Prepare your fleet. Show the galaxy what happens when they threaten humanity. Daniel left her office and took the transport back to the Titan. On the way, he looked out the window at Luna's surface. He could see the 5 massive ships in their berths. The Titan, Colossus, Leviathan, Behemoth, and Sovereign. 5 ships that represented 50 years of work, 50 years of planning, 50 years of enduring mockery while building strength in secret. In 2 days, the coalition would arrive. They would come to destroy Earth's future. Instead, they would discover that humanity's future was unstoppable. On the Titan's bridge, Daniel sat in his command chair and activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Harper. In 2 days, we faced the largest fleet ever assembled against humanity. 200 warships from 5 different civilizations. They're coming to destroy us before we become too powerful. He paused. They're already too late. We're going to meet them here at Luna. We're going to show them that humanity is done being threatened. And when this battle is over, the galaxy will know that Earth stands with the great powers, not because they gave us a seat at their table, but because we took it. Admiral Korth stood on the bridge of his flagship, surrounded by holographic displays showing the coalition fleet. 200 warships, the combined might of 5 civilizations, the largest military force assembled in decades. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Weapons charged. Shields at maximum. We are prepared for combat, Korth nodded. The plan was simple. Overwhelm the human ship with sheer numbers. Yes, the Titan was powerful, but no single ship could stand against 200. The laws of mathematics were absolute. Transition to normal space in 30 seconds, the navigation officer called out. Target coordinates locked. Luna shipyards, Korth felt a moment of doubt. Was this wise? Attacking humanity directly? But no, it had to be done. The Titans were too dangerous. If humanity completed their fleet of superweapons, the balance of power would shift forever. Better to strike now while Earth still had only one operational ship. Transition. 200 ships emerged from quantum space simultaneously. They appeared in a carefully planned formation, surrounding the Luna shipyards from all angles. Korth opened a channel to the shipyards. This is Admiral Korth of the Vrexian Empire speaking for the Coalition forces. We demand the immediate surrender of all Titan-class warships and the dismantling of your shipyard facilities. You have 5 minutes to comply or we will open fire. Silence answered him. Korth frowned. Had the humans evacuated? Were they, sir? The tactical officer's voice cracked with fear. Multiple contacts. Massive energy signatures. They're decloaking. 5 quantum signatures bloomed into existence. 5 massive ships materialized around the shipyards, forming a perfect defensive sphere. The Titan, the Colossus, the Leviathan, the Behemoth. The Sovereign, all 5 were operational. All 5 were ready for battle. Impossible, Korth whispered. They weren't supposed to be ready. Intelligence said. Admiral Patricia Cole's face appeared on every view screen in every coalition ship. She spoke calmly, but her words carried the weight of absolute authority. You came to destroy our future. Instead, witness it. You have one chance to withdraw. Turn around. Leave this system. Or face the consequences. Korth's hands trembled. 5 Titan-class ships. This changed everything. But he had 200 ships. Surely that was enough. It had to be enough. All ships, he ordered. Attack formation. Focus fire on the nearest human vessel. Commence attack! The Coalition fleet opened fire. 200 ships unleashed everything they had. Energy beams, missiles, kinetic weapons, exotic particles. The space around the 5 Titan-class ships lit up like a star going supernova. On the Titan's bridge, Daniel Harper watched the tactical display with cold calculation. Shields holding at 85%, Lisa reported from the Leviathan. No hull damage. All systems nominal. Same here, Greg Foster called from the Colossus. They're hitting us hard, but our shields are handling it. Daniel activated the fleet-wide tactical channel. All ships execute Battle Plan Delta. The Colossus takes the far formation. Leviathan, target the flanking force. Behemoth, you have the capital ships at center. Sovereign, electronic warfare across their entire fleet. Titan will coordinate and provide support. Begin. The 5 Titan-class ships moved. Despite their enormous size, they maneuvered with grace and precision. They had been designed by people who understood that size meant nothing without agility. The Colossus fired first. Its long-range bombardment systems opened up from across the battlefield. Relativistic rounds tore through space. Each shot destroyed or crippled multiple targets. Ships that had taken centuries to build vanished in flashes of released energy. The Leviathan charged into close combat, its plasma lance arrays cutting through enemy formations like a knife through paper. Hull armor that had protected ships in 1,000 battles melted away. Shields designed to withstand tremendous punishment collapsed under the assault. The Behemoth targeted the Coalition's largest vessels. Its siege weapons fired continuously. Graviton disruptors tore ships apart at the molecular level. One moment, a krill dreadnought 3 kilometers long floated in space. The next moment, it was a cloud of disassociated atoms. The Sovereign didn't fire a single conventional weapon. Instead, it unleashed electronic warfare on a scale never before seen. Enemy targeting systems failed. Communications jammed. Ships lost sensor contact with each other. The Coalition fleet descended into chaos as their technology turned against them. And the Titan, the original, the first, moved through the battlefield like a ghost. Daniel directed his fleet with precision, coordinating their attacks, exploiting weaknesses, ensuring no enemy ship escaped. On his flagship, Admiral Korth watched his fleet die. Ships exploded. Others broke apart. Some tried to run, their engines screaming as they attempted to flee. The human ships were everywhere. Too fast, too powerful, too coordinated. Sir, we've lost 80 ships, his tactical officer reported, his voice hollow with shock. The survivors are requesting permission to withdraw. Granted, Korth whispered. All ships retreat, full power to engines. Get us out of here. But Admiral Cole had predicted this. The 5 Titan-class ships had positioned themselves carefully. Every escape vector was covered. Ships that tried to run found their paths blocked by 15 kilometers of human warship. They're trying to flee, Jake Morrison reported from the Titan's tactical station. Should we let them go? Daniel thought about the question. About mercy. About sending a message. About what would happen if they let the coalition escape. No, he said quietly. They came here to destroy us. They came here to ensure that humanity stayed weak forever. We show them no mercy. We show them the price of threatening Earth. The battle continued. It wasn't a battle, really. It was an execution. The coalition fleet had been the strongest force assembled in decades. Now it died, ship by ship in the shadow of Luna. 2 hours after it began, the battle ended. 200 coalition ships had entered the Luna system. Now debris fields marked where they had died. A few ships had been disabled rather than destroyed, their crews taken prisoner. But the vast majority were simply gone. Admiral Korth's flagship hung dead in space, its engines destroyed, its weapons offline. Daniel opened a channel to the Vrexian commander. Korth's face appeared on the screen. He looked old now, defeated. I surrender, he said simply. We surrender. You launched an unprovoked attack on human territory, Daniel said. You will face a war crimes tribunal. You and every commander in your fleet. The galaxy will see what happens to those who threaten humanity. Korth nodded slowly. There was nothing else to say. The entire battle had been recorded. Dozens of news drones had watched from safe distances. Now that footage spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Every civilization saw. Every leader understood. Humanity was no longer a joke. Humanity was a power. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session once again. But this time the tone was different. No one mocked. No one dismissed. Chancellor Vex stood at the podium, his expression solemn. The attack on Luna was unsanctioned by this council, he said. It was an act of aggression that violated all laws of civilized conduct. Humanity defended itself, as was their right. He paused. I propose that humanity be granted permanent membership in the Council's Security Directorate, that Earth be recognized as a major power with all associated rights and responsibilities. The vote was unanimous. No one wanted to risk antagonizing the species with 5 Titan-class warships. 6 months passed. The galaxy adapted to its new reality. The Vrexian Empire formally apologized and signed a non-aggression treaty with Earth. 12 species requested military alliances with humanity. Earth's colonies, all of them, received independence guarantees from the Council. Humanity began selling defensive technology to smaller civilizations. Not the Titan-class ships, those remained uniquely human, but smaller vessels, shields, weapon systems. Earth built a network of allies across the galaxy. Pirates and raiders discovered that attacking human-protected trade routes was suicide. The species that once mocked humanity now studied human military tactics and history in their academies. Daniel Harper was promoted to admiral and given command of the Titan Defense Fleet. Under his leadership, the fleet grew. A 6th Titan-class ship, the Defender, launched from Luna shipyards. Plans were drawn up for more. On a clear morning, Daniel stood on the bridge of the Titan, watching the Defenders launch through the viewports. The massive ship rose from the lunar surface on columns of blue plasma, majestic and terrible. Ambassador Stone stood beside him. The old diplomat had visited the fleet to personally congratulate the crews. Things have certainly changed, Stone remarked. 6 months ago, I spent my days enduring insults. Now I spend them negotiating trade agreements and alliance terms. It's remarkable how quickly attitudes shift when backed by sufficient firepower. Daniel smiled slightly. We never wanted to dominate the galaxy. We just wanted respect. We have that now, Stone agreed. The question is whether we deserve it. Power without wisdom is dangerous. We must be careful not to become the thing we feared. The bully. The tyrant. That's why we have people like you, Ambassador, to remind us of our values, to keep us honest. Daniel turned to face Stone. The Titans were built to protect humanity, to ensure that no one could threaten us ever again. But they're also a responsibility. We have to use this power wisely.